Hey, this is Notser, and we're checking out another premium. This is the Tier 7 Premium Japanese Battleship, Ashitaka. Along with the T-61 and the Abruzzi, these three premiums will be released roughly around the same time frame, probably in January. That would be my guess, maybe a little bit earlier. If I had to buy only one ship, it would be the T-61, for many different reasons. First of all, it's the only premium German destroyer. Secondly, it's pretty good. It's probably a little bit better than it should be. I could see the torpedo rearm going down 20 seconds, and I think it would be pretty fair. If you compare it to the Tier 6 that already exists, it gives up a lot of health. It gives up the ability to equip 150s, although I don't really care about that. I think 150 is a piece of garbage. It's not good for the destroyer playstyle. Maybe it's good for cruisers. It's horrible for the slow rate of fire and the overpin of AP. I mean, AP already overpins on the 128s. Why would I want more AP overpin? Plus the rate of fire, it just isn't for me. So the T-61 aligns very much with the identity of the German destroyers. Fast, rearming torpedoes, hydroacoustic, and solid 128s that benefit from switching to AP. Very short time on your smoke. It is vulnerable to fire, though. 2,000 health is a big deal that you give up. However, most people will not be using that. They will be using the fast rearm of the torpedo. So I expect that to be dropped a little bit. If they took 15, 20 seconds off of it, it'd be perfect, honestly. It would still be a fantastic ship, but it wouldn't be, just completely playing as a Tier 9 or a Tier 10 in a Tier 6. These ships are very slow. A lot of American battleships, they're not going to get out of the way by the time you rearm your torpedoes. The Abruzzi, I just need to learn how to play the Italians. I just don't get the identity. They don't do enough damage, and I really need to get that damage up. I feel like I live very long. I feel like I understand the gameplay from a mechanics standpoint, but for whatever reason, the Italian cruisers I don't understand. For the Ashitaka, well, 10 410mm guns is pretty good. This is basically a stock Amagi. Terrible AA protection, pretty awesome speed, armor that is definitely trolly. The angles will cause AP to bounce off harmlessly. You know how the Amagi works if you've owned the Amagi or played against the Amagi. It's a great ship. The Japanese, it's a super solid battleship line. I just think that the American and the Japanese have been a little bit power crept by the Germans and the British. They're just better. Either they do more damage, they tank a little bit better, their secondaries are devastating. They got tools like hydroacoustic, they're HE. If you look at the Americans, what are they known for? They're slow, and they're sort of short. Quick rudder, all that stuff works out, but there's just not a good AA protection. But it's just not something that stands out. Not right now. Then the Japanese. Japanese are super solid. Slow turret traverse. Great speed. Armor's okay. But in general, the Japanese citadels are very much taller than everything else now. They just are. They've nerfed all the citadels, or they've given them basically no way of doing damage to the citadel, except for the Japanese. So they're vulnerable to broadside shots. You gotta consider that. The Ashitaka, it has basically 35 AA rating. My Yamato commander has advanced firing training, and this AA is awful. Absolutely awful. All the premium Tier 7s will have a field day attacking you with their aircraft carriers. No mercy. Tier 8s, Tier 9s, even Tier 6s will have fun attacking this with their aircraft carriers because it's just that bad. I have destroyers that have better AA protection, okay? A lot of them have better AA protection. So we're engaging that Pensacola, and it looks like the Pensacola is going to run into the Tier 7 mainline Japanese battleship, Nagato. So if we're going to compare, let's look at the Nagato. So the Nagato has 410s, although it has 2 less 410s, so, there's that. It has basically the same reload. Nagato is 32. Ashitaka is 31. It is premium, though, and you can stick a really nice commander in there, so I think, so far, Ashitaka is a better ship. It's got a little bit better speed, which is honestly fantastic. Not just a little bit better speed. We're going to say a lot better speed. Yeah, it's got 5 knots faster than the Nagato. I think that the armor is basically equal. It really feels like they compared the power level of the Japanese battleships to this ship, and they decided, okay, it's getting 2 extra guns, slightly faster rearm, and it's basically the Amagi's armor layout with the speed. So what do we need to take away from it? Or what weaknesses does the ship need to have? AA protection. Nagato's going to have better AA protection. Very much better AA protection. I mean, like, it's really, really bad. But if we're in a meta that is dominated by destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and there's no aircraft carriers whatsoever, this is a great ship. There's no issues whatsoever. But if wargaming were ever to improve the aircraft carriers so they're in every game, this is always going to be a vulnerable ship. It's always going to be the first target if they have a choice, because it's just that bad. It's like attacking a German battleship that doesn't have a good commander. You know, if you don't have a good commander, they don't get their secondaries or whatever. They're bad. Their AA protection's bad. So that's the only concern I would have, is that it's just so blatantly obvious how weak it is. It's going to be hunted down and destroyed by the aircraft carrier every single time. But 10 410mm guns, pretty good. Again, very solid at taking out enemy destroyers, and we're sort of trying to head towards the enemy and not take the predictable torpedoes. Oh yeah, you don't have the ability to equip an aircraft. What you see is what you get for the equipment slot. I can't choose to take anything else. So that's another negative. Now we're moving forward, and boy, does that smoke cover a lot of it. I was like, can I even see around the smoke to steer and avoid the torpedoes? Another enemy DD, the Shiratsuyu. He can definitely hit me, so I should be aware of a torpedo off of my port side. And I'm just going to try and spread the fire and hopefully get a damaging shot. It will probably overpin, but if we chip the guy down, maybe the friendly Podvoisky, is that the Podvoisky? Maybe the friendly can survive or even take him out. And I am using a drone rush, but it is my 19 skill commander from my Yamato. I mean, it's not a big deal, right? That is the nice thing about it. You could take this and have a fantastic commander, or use it to train a fantastic commander. But tier 7 mostly fights higher tiers. So I think this is middle of the road for me. T-61, fantastic, must buy German destroyer, and it's very competitive, maybe a little bit too competitive. The Abruzzi, just really uncomfortable playing it. Oh, watch this shot. Watch this. I'm going to line them up just before the island, and clearly we're going to clip a little bit, and I was just hoping to get a little bit of damage on him as I move towards the enemy. And oh yes, 2 shells, don't overpin. That should be out of the game in 6 months. I hope. We did a ton of damage to a destroyer that we just shouldn't have. But that's more of a battleship issue. So T-61, basically a must-buy for anyone who likes DDs, anyone who wants to work on their German destroyer commanders, anyone who likes fun. The Abruzzi, honestly, if you've got the Duca at tier 6, I don't know that there's a lot of incentive to get this at tier 7, the Abruzzi. Maybe they'll improve it. I'm hoping that they do improve it after the community contributors and the super testers take a look at it. I want to love it. It looks great. But looks are... You know, I used to say looks are the most important thing, but when you're spending $40 US or your regional equivalent, it needs to look a little bit better than that. And then the Ashitaka, I think this is very much, if you are absolutely in love with Japanese battleships, just go ahead and pull the trigger. 10 410mm guns, premium, so you can equip your better commanders in it. It's a good trainer. Although the key is probably better overall for the direction the game is going, where we have more aircraft carriers in the meta, and we know that that's going to be the case in the next Honestly, the Ashitaka might come out when the U.S. aircraft carrier changes go live. They spoke about it being in the next 3 patches. It's going to be live. I absolutely think this will be out in the next 3 patches. That would put it around January. You know, we just had our November. We're going to have our December. And then there's going to be a January. So, yeah, I think this is going to be introduced right when everyone is incentivized to play American aircraft carriers. So, good luck with that one. Yeah. I think it's going to be a recipe for a disaster for those who play it. Once it cools off and people say, oh, well, aircraft carrier, still not as good as it needs to be because they need to rework it, it will probably be a better ship to purchase. But I think it's just ending up being a case, well, oh, by the way, we're going to catch this guy before he can fire. Press C. Cycle between the vision of your different gun groups and make sure that you're left aligned or right aligned when you're looking around an island so you can fire first. And it will absolutely help you. I can't tell you how many people they take too much time firing. It's clearly they're not changing their viewport. So that worked out for us. And you might be wondering, you got 5 kills, Notser. Why didn't you earn Kraken Unleashed? You can't earn achievements whenever you're playing these unreleased ships. Sometimes they're too powerful or they're too weak, so they don't want that influencing the game. But we only did 62,000. We got 5 kills. We basically killed 3 DDs, and that's just the 10 410mm guns. That's just nice. Top on the XP earned 1,843. So, you know, it's a super solid ship, just not really sexy. And it's going to be vulnerable to aircraft, and everyone's going to know it after this video and many other videos, so just be ready. Otherwise, solid Japanese battleship trainer. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was interesting. If I was firing at battleships, I'd probably do more damage, but hey, I think I contributed just enough for my team to succeed. Maybe a little bit more than that. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.